Welcome to Gorey Time with Cory. Story 1. My grandmother told me a story one time of when she was young, about my age now, almost 40. My mother and my aunts and uncles were off to school, and my grandmother was at home sleeping on the couch due to she worked late at night. As she slept gingerly through the day, she said she heard a knock on the back door. The back door? Why would somebody be knocking on the back door? She arose and went to the back door to find nobody was there. She says as she closed the back door, she immediately heard a knock on the front door. She went to go answer the front door, thinking it was some kids messing around. Looking around, finding nothing, she said, "Hey, you kids, stop messing around." She went back to bed, sleeping for about another hour, saying she heard a knock on the back door again. Going to the back door, going outside, looking around, yelling again, "Hey, I told you kids before, stop messing around." She said upon turning around, she saw a black figure, tall, dark peed coat, floppy brimmed hat, and no facial expressions at all whatsoever. No facial features whatsoever. She could see nothing. Now, my grandmother is a great woman. She decided to charge with a knife she had grabbed from the kitchen. As she got close to the figure, it grabbed her, pushing her down onto the couch. Firm, unhuman strength pushing her far down into the couch. Why is he so strong? Why can't I get away from him? Suddenly, the figure vanished. My grandmother jumped from the couch, running out of the front door, and there in the driveway was my grandfather. Now, my grandfather was a good old-fashioned tough guy, Golden Gloves champion in the Marines, and always carried a .38. Grabbing his .38 from the glove box, he searched every nook and cranny, every hiding spot, behind every door and in every closet, and found nothing. My grandmother would never stay in that house again, staying in hotels for almost a week before my grandfather put the house up for sale. Story 2. My brother, my cousin, and I were staying at my great-grandmother's house, for my parents worked late as bartenders in the local pub down the road. Now, we had been up watching scary movies late into the night, and the last movie we ended on was Child's Play, a movie set as a killer doll came to life by the name of Charles Lee Ray. I don't know if you're aware, but in the early 90s or late 80s maybe, there was a doll named the Corky doll. The Corky doll was strikingly similar to the doll in the movie Charles Lee Ray, or the Good Guy doll. My brother and I thought it would be a good idea to scare my cousin, for he had went back downstairs to go to the bathroom. As he came back up, we both hid behind the bed and raised the doll up slowly as he entered the room. He did not notice at first, but as my brother let out a roar similar to the one Charles Lee Ray let out as he would murder or attack his victims. He looked so scared he ran back downstairs, and we all got into a little bit of trouble by my great-grandmother, saying if we did not behave ourselves, we would have to sleep in the scary room. Now we all know what she meant by the scary room. It was a room with glass cases on every wall, and inside those glass cases were porcelain dolls. Porcelain dolls were very scary, for they seemed alive and always to be watching you. We were in our normal bedroom, contemplating on whether we had enough courage to sleep in the scary room. Mustering up enough courage, we asked our grandmother if we could. She said yes. We were in there, goofing around for maybe 20 minutes. Me in the middle, my older cousin and my older brother on the outsides of the bed. As they goofed around trying to scare me, I slowly drifted off to sleep, waking to both of them running out of the room screaming. I ran downstairs, joining them in the living room. As they said, there was something knocking on the wall in the scary room. Not believing them, I passed it off as nothing. Then my brother said he saw somebody seem to sit on the end of the bed, leaving a print pushed down further than the rest of the bed. Passing it off once again, I went to sleep. Downstairs, of course, not in the scary room. In the morning, I awoke, and I went up to the scary room just to give it a look around, maybe disprove what they said. Seeing the butt print on the bed myself, I thought, oh, maybe it was just something that they planned to scare me. I walked up to the scary print on the bed to tug the blankets and maybe make it go away. Seconds before reaching out to grab the blanket, it was just gone, disappeared, and I ran out of there and never questioned them again. Story 3. My family had a friend. I do believe she was my grandparents' friend, though she had been around my whole life, so our family adopted her as a great aunt, Aunt Isa. Now, Aunt Isa was known for having money. She had a beautiful home, nice cars, and a cabin up north in Michigan. Isa had been around our whole lives. Now I noticed one day she was not around anymore due to she passed away. I was staying at her house shortly after her funeral with the rest of the family to remember the good times with Aunt Isa. I woke that night, went downstairs, having to use the bathroom. As I was going down the stairs, I noticed it was incredibly cold, and I saw a woman passing by the stairs from the kitchen side to the dining room side. Passing it off that it was my grandmother, I went to the bathroom, went back upstairs, noticing it was incredibly cold inside there, and going back to bed. When I got up the next morning and went downstairs, they were all making breakfast, pancakes, bacon, and all of the trimmings. I asked my grandmother, "Was that you downstairs yesterday?" "No," she replied. "I was in bed all night." I asked my mother, and I asked my aunt. Both replied, "It wasn't us." Now, noticing that the woman downstairs was wearing a white nightgown, and my grandmother was wearing a blue nightgown, all these years later it dawned on me, maybe that was Aunt Isa the whole time. For why was it so cold? And why were the differences so small? As my grandmother wore blue and she wore white. Thank you for joining me on Gorey Time with Cory. Plow the like button and subscribe.